Am I YouTube official now? Filming in my car? What? Anyways, so I thought I'd film a day in the life. If you don't know, my name's Lauren and I'm the owner of Essential Bliss Wax and Wicks. I create candles and wax melts. I thought I'd film a little like day in the life today. So I just woke up. It's about 12:30. Well, I woke up 2 hours ago, but I start my days later than most people because I work night shift, so I kind of just like sleep in a little bit on my days off so I can stay closer to the night shift schedule, but I don't like to sleep all day when I'm off. Since I do work night shift, I don't get to work on my business every day, so when I'm off, I do like to spend time like working on that. I don't know why I'm looking like at myself instead of at the camera. Sorry, it's the first time. But yeah, so I just drank some pre-workout. I'll show you a picture of what I use. I just drank Alani Nu pre-workout, and that's why the camera's a little shaky because my hands are shaking. But I'm getting ready to go in Orange Theory, bust out a workout, and then we'll start the rest of the day. All right, I am sweating like a mofro. So Orange Theory's done. Now we're on to the next task for the day. That was hard. Like, Orange Theory is always hard for me because I just started, but the weight floor today, my arms are shaking, but I feel really good. So now I'm gonna head home, and if you can't tell, I'm still out of breath. I literally just walked out of class. I'm gonna head home and I'm gonna start making candles. Okay, so I am about to start making candles. I use Trello for taking notes and like keeping track of how much I'm supposed to use. So like these are like all my candle tests. I have some recipes, brain dump of some projects I want to do. This is kind of like the inspiration for my brand. I keep that there. And then I just have like basic notes about candle making, and then info, important stuff like materials that I buy frequently and stuff like that. So today I'm going to be making the Lush Succulent candle. So it tells me what kind of container and then my wax that I use. So I use a blend of IGI 4630 and Golden Brands 464. So 464 is soy, and then the IGI is a paraffin. I also add stearic, I think that's how you say it, acid and dye. So the total fill weight for my 16-ounce jar is 347.2. So I take that number, I divide it by half because I'm only going to fill the candle halfway for the base because I'm doing 2 different colors, so I have to make 2 different batches. So the total fill weight for that is 173.6, and then for 2 candles it's 317.43. I always make 2 candles because I test 2 wicks. I use the CD4 or the CD6 normally, so I test those 2 first. If it doesn't work, then I'll make another batch of candles and test a different wick. So since I do a split between my waxes, a 50-50, I just divide this, well, I take this number and I use a candle calculator, or you can do the math, either one. I put that number in and then I get these numbers based on the candle calculations. So I plug in the fill weight for 2 candles. Once I do that, I plug in like my percentage, and then I take however much wax it tells me to use, and I divide that by 2 for my 2 waxes. Then I also add the stearic acid to my candles, and then I use a ratio. Let me check down here. So I use 24 grams per pound. So that's 0.035 grams per gram of wax. So I just multiply that to find how much I'm using. And then I'm going to be using 9% of the Lush Succulent. So do all that math first before I do anything else. That way, once I start making candles, all I have to worry about is like putting this stuff in the double boiler, I weigh everything out first, and then I just go for it. So now I'm going to start weighing out the different ingredients that I need, and then I will head to my kitchen and start with melting down my wax. I pretty much weigh all my ingredients in my room because most of my candle supplies is in here, and then I go to my kitchen, use my double boiler to make the candles. All my candle supplies, it's really messy. Those are like tested stuff, and then some embeds. I keep all my fragrance oil down there. Stearic acid, we need this. Go ahead and grab that out. I do have a soy light pot, but I use that mostly for my wax melts. It's full of wax right now. Once I use all that wax that's in there, I'll probably start making candles with the soy light instead of a double boiler. And then in here, in my closet, it's very messy, I have my wax. That's the paraffin wax. And then in the little stand over here is my soy, some that. We need wicks. Let's see. CD8, don't need those. Need these two. Always grab a pipette for fragrance oil. It makes it easier to measure once you start getting close to the value that you need. Basically, the longest part of this whole process is doing math, measuring out all the ingredients, prepping everything. And then after that, it's really like just smooth sailing, just melt, pour, add your fragrance oil, dye, whatever. But it can be a process. I've been doing this for like 30 minutes now, and I haven't even started melting wax yet, but it's okay. I love to do it, so we're gonna get after it. Over here I have my double boiler method. It's just a pot with a little bit of water, like a 1/4 inch of water. Wax is in there. I set my oven or stove to about this temperature, and then now it's just wait for it to melt. Once it melts, I'll start adding the dye. I'll stir it every once in a while and check the temperature. I use a digital thermometer to check mine. I used to use a candy, but now I have a digital, so I just use that. This is just a sheet I made on Canva. So I measured the diameter of my jar, the diameter of the wicks. I ended up just putting this cross here to help me like place it. And this is how I center my wicks. I just place the jar on top, look around, make sure that it's like actually centered. And then I use a straw and just pop them on the green dots. So I use Wick Stickers to secure my wicks. Some people use hot glue, but I've never had any issues with Wick Stickers, so I just use those. It's easier for me. So just place those on the bottom, and then I'll secure them down, and then my jars will be ready. this black dye from Lone Star to add to here. I just did like 10 drops. Black is kind of tricky. It might have been too much because I'm going for gray, but when it cools, it'll be a lot lighter, and it's really hard to get a black candle, especially when you're using soy wax, because the colors aren't as vibrant with soy. So I heat my wax to 185, 180-ish, and then I take it off, stir it around. Sometimes there's a little bit of pieces that didn't melt, so I just make sure to get those melted in. It helps if you like stir it to get them in there. And then once it reaches like 160, 170-ish, I'll pour in the fragrance oil, stir for 2 minutes, and then I'll let it sit until it gets to like 140, 130, and then I'll pour it. So I'm just stirring this in. You want to do it like not too fast, just like a decent speed, because you don't want to incorporate too much air. So just stir that for 2 minutes and then pour when it's ready. And then with like temperatures, it's really all about just like trial and error, depending on where you're making your candles at, how warm it is in your house or garage or warehouse or wherever you're making the candles will affect your pouring temperatures, and also like the fragrance oil temperatures and things like that. As far as heating up the wax, I always just follow the manufacturer's guidelines, and you can find those like when you buy the wax. You can normally find it on the site. Same with fragrance oil. I mean, on the site when you buy your wax, it'll tell you what the best temperature for that wax is to add fragrance oil. I typically do like 170 to 160, but I make sure I do it after all the wax that's in my pot is melted. And to stir, I just use a bamboo skewer. All right, so we're already at 134, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pour. This black dye is really messy and it will stain, so you have to be careful. I use a paper towel and I just hold it up against the thing, and then you want to do a nice and slow pour. Looks like oil. Okay, it's definitely not enough. So sometimes that happens. I guess I messed up my math somewhere. Oh well. I think I poured for half of one candle, but it'll have to do for now. We'll just have a baby candle and then a full candle for testing. These aren't for selling, they're just for testing purposes anyway, so it's okay. So I realized that I never kind of like explained why I only poured half candle, and also I didn't film an outro, you know, it's fine. So the reason why I only made 2 half candles is because I decorate the top of my candles with some whipped wax, and I'll make another video about how I do that and also showing you what that looks like. So for that particular candle, I was doing a gray or black bottom, and then the top I wanted to be green. It was for a succulent candle, so the top was going to be green whipped wax, but I make that wax separately. Normally the day after, a few days after, I pour the base, and I just do that to make sure that the candle's completely hardened. And then also it's kind of a lot of time to whip the wax and like make whipped wax, so I normally don't do those on the same day. I just kind of like prep the candle and then later I'll finish decorating. Okay, I've made like 100 of these now. This is the last one, and if it's awkward, it's awkward. But if you liked the video, just, you know, smash the like button or whatever people say on YouTube. And if you have any questions, just comment and I'll get back to you with some answers if I can answer the question, or I'll like direct you to where you can find an answer. Yeah, so see you next time. Bye.